Hey GSM, hope everyone's doing well during this tough time. Been keeping you guys in my prayers. If you don't know who I am, my name's Dylan. I'm blessed to be a part of GSM's SALT team, which stands for Student Active Leadership Team. Shout out to SALT team. Love you guys. But yeah, I was asked to come on, talk about how I've been doing during this time, what I've been doing to stay busy. And yeah, I really miss you guys, really miss Wednesdays at youth group to get to spend time with some amazing students and leaders and just worship Jesus and engage in some really good conversation. I can't wait to get back on Wednesdays. And so how I've been keeping busy is if I'm not playing Xbox, I'm reading my Bible. I just finished Matthew. It was a really good story, and I'm gonna start Mark today, which should also be really good. And if I'm not reading my Bible or I'm not playing Xbox, I'm working out and staying in good shape, eating a good diet, and staying on top of it. And yeah, I don't have as much free time now because school just started online for me last week, so that's now giving me stuff to do that I don't necessarily want to do, but gotta get back to the routine of school. But yeah, one nice thing is during this time, I've been able to engage in some great conversation that I don't think I ever would have got to engage with some of the people I play Xbox with over just Jesus, the Bible, and everything. And it's so nice to see some of my friends learn some things that they never knew, and I've even got to pray with them over Xbox, and it's just amazing to see how it's changing them and get to see how Jesus affects them in their lives. But yeah, thank you guys for everything. Hope everyone's doing well. And yeah, I'm keeping you guys in my prayers. Take care, you guys.
Hey guys, how goes it? It's another Saturday Spotlight video. In case you don't know, I'm Jay Scott. I think all of you know me by now. If you don't, I will be the guy that gets pie-faced if we reach 100 subscribers. So please subscribe because I do like pie. So I want to talk to you about how to study the Bible. Just a few minutes here. My guys in our group, we like to say this is going down a rabbit hole. So let's see how deep we can get in a few minutes. So a lot of people think that there's a perfect way to study the Bible. I tend to disagree. Used to be one of them people that thought there had to be like a perfect time, perfect place, perfect setup. Get up at early in the morning, do your devotions, everything's good. I personally find that to not be accurate. Here's a couple reasons why. Everybody learns differently. Everybody gets energized differently, different places, different things. So for like me personally, I like to have music playing. Recently, I do a lot of audio Bible. So I spend a lot of time in my car, got to commute to work and back, which is at least 2 hours a day. Sometimes I'm spending time in the car in between then. So I like to do a lot of audio Bible. So this quarantine is actually kind of throwing me off a little bit because I got into a nice rhythm of listening to the Bible, doing my devotions on, praying on the car ride into work. I'm not going to work currently, so trying to find a new rhythm, new place. And then as far as a place, some people like to be outside in nature. Some people are perfectly fine inside. It all just kind of depends on you. I like to write things down because I learn better that way. I tend to remember things if I write them down. So just a couple things to keep in mind. Are you a morning person? Are you a night person? Do you like noise? Like I said, I tend to like to play music in the background pretty much anytime I'm doing anything. So studying the Bible is also one of those. So we're going to try and stay away from big words, but the Bible originally was not written in the English language. Pretty sure you know that, but just letting you know. It was written in Greek and Hebrew. I don't read or speak either one, so I have to rely on somebody else's translation. So there is a ton of translations out there, and what I mean by that is if you've ever heard NIV, KJV, King James Version, There's a whole host of other ones. Basically, it breaks down to, most people will break it down into three categories: word for word, thought for thought, and paraphrasing. So, I personally have quite a few different translations of the Bible. I do have a KJV. It is very difficult to understand. I compare it to like Shakespeare literature. We don't generally talk like that anymore. I don't know anybody that uses thou and thee. So that is a word for word translation. ESV is also a word for word translation, but uses a little more up to date English, so easier to understand. Thought for thought, some translations are NIV and NLT. So a thought for thought is usually a little easier to read and understand. So if you're newer, I would recommend starting with like an NIV or an NLT. Just because it is easier to read, usually makes a little more sense to you. Paraphrasing is like, if you've ever heard of The Message, that is a paraphrase version. So they take the like the thought and the word for word and kind of combine the two and turn it into like how we would talk today, which is why it's called paraphrase, because so it can make it easier to understand, but sometimes you can lose the words and or the thoughts of those. So I consider them more of a reference. Like if I don't understand a passage, I'll grab the Message version just to kind of see if it breaks it down into something I can understand, and then go back and compare it to one of the other versions. So, and I am old school, so I have paper copies of all those, which takes up a lot of bookshelf space, and I have quite a bit of investment into the library. So an easier way to do that is YouVersion. So don't know if you are familiar with that, but YouVersion is an app you can load on any of your devices. Has all the translations I mentioned and more. It's also a Bible study app. So you could use it to do like a topical study, meaning if there's a topic you want, you can search it. Chances are somebody did a Bible study on it. You could do it by book of the Bible. There's so many ways you could do it, which is again why I argue there is no perfect recipe. It just kind of depends on where you're at in your journey in life, what you're looking for, what kind of information. And there's other resources out there. Again, old school, so paper copy. There is a book called Armed and Dangerous, which gives you a whole bunch of verses broken down to subjects. That's a nice quick reference, so if you have questions about specific subjects, strongly recommend that. Or there's also blueletterbible.org. Now that is a much deeper version, so you could type in any passage that you're looking at and it will start giving you the root words of the original language, where it's also seen in the Bible and other places. Just a host of info on that. I know Pastor Scott has mentioned it in a sermon several times. I've used it a few times. It does go very deep, so if you're newer to the whole Bible reading and Bible study, don't know that it's for you quite yet. You'll get there, but maybe stick with some of the other resources that don't go as deep. There's Right Now Media. They do little video series on different Bible studies and different things of that nature. I personally like authors like Max Lucado, Kyle Idleman, and authors like Francis Chan. So all these are good resources. A trap that I've caught myself in is I tend to read books by authors more than I read the Bible, which again isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I'm not getting the truth directly from the source. So the other recommendation I have on how to study the Bible is go directly to the source, which is the Bible, and commit it to memory, because if you don't know the truth, you're not going to be able to stand on it. So just to recap, depending on where you find peace or energy, would be the place you want to study the Bible. It doesn't have to be every time, doesn't have to be the same time every day. really depends on, again, your season of life and where you're at, where you have time in your schedule. May change. I do recommend that you try and do the same time every day so that you get into a rhythm, especially when you're beginning, because that is the hardest. So in closing, that's what we call a rabbit hole. Thanks for taking the journey with me. If you have any questions, please feel free to talk to me. I love going down rabbit holes,